I've had this house on the market almost 6 months and just haven't been able to sell it.
House has more bush than my mom in the 80s. There's no garage, but let's be honest, you don't need to keep your 2011 Toyota Camry safe. Damn, this bidet is really high up. I had flaming hot Cheetos for lunch.
But if Joe Blow from across the street, John from across the river, and Karen from across a different state says that your house is worth $350, you have two options. You can keep the home for $400,000, or you can sell it to Joe Blow from across the street for $350.
People can't sell their homes right now. They're having the worst luck selling their homes right now. This is not the market to buy. It is the market to rent. I know it sounds crazy, but right now it is more flexible, more feasible, and it's just smarter to rent right now. The average length of time that a house is sitting on the market right now is about 3 months. 3 months. Some houses have been sitting longer than that because the market is vastly different than it was a year ago. Just a year ago. Like, people are losing their shit trying to sell their homes right now.
All right, we're talking about why houses won't sell. This is a big thing on the internet right now. Everybody's talking about these videos. So as a real estate agent, let's talk about it. I'm the only one that'll actually give you some truth, and the only one that's really done enough real estate deals to give you the opinion. Let's get to it. I got a cup of coffee and I'm ready to get loud. Let's go.
Now, and some people are selling just to go back to renting. So right now it's just not, it's not smart to buy. If you planned on buying right now, you might want to rethink that, because buying right now is just not it. If you're selling, it is just not it. Like, a lot of people are starting to rent out their homes because it's just more cost efficient to make that money back and pay on their mortgage or pay on their property taxes and whatnot than actually selling their home because they can't sell it.
I've had this house on the market almost 6 months and just haven't been able to sell it. Started at $390 and went down to $350. This house is in one of the better communities in our area, and just shocked that I have not been able to sell it. So we did not finish the basement when we did the rehab because of the stairs going into the basement. However, I pulled it off the market the last couple of weeks, and we're going to go ahead and refinish it. It's going to be
There's three ways that a house sells: price, condition, and how many properties are on the market that competes with it. And we're about to see a good example.
Stairwell going into that area, but I think it's probably my best move. So pull it off the market, put an additional 10 grand into it, and then probably going to come back listing it at 370. So I'm going to let you guys see what's going down in the basement.
So you're changing the price.
So this is the dining room, and your stairs going upstairs, which is the master bedroom right here. So
wait, what? Did you see that lip going into the stairs?
And couldn't really cut into this space to create more headroom, or to reconfigure the stairs without really just destroying this room. So we just left it pretty much the way it is. And
that's odd.
This was just open on both sides, so we went ahead and framed this.
That's pretty steep.
Cinder block basement. Went ahead and framed it.
Things like this right here, odd staircase, looks like it's super tight, no handrails, unfinished. These are the things that concern you. It's like either finished or unfinished. But when you try to finish it yourself, especially basements, you run into a lot of problems. One, mildew, humidity, water problems, ground level water problems, flooding. And if it's not done right, it can be an absolute mess. I showed a house the other day, same situation, the humidity and the mold and the mildew and everything in that basement had made it unlivable down there. All the floors were popping. The paint they put on the cinder block walls on the side was making the concrete degrade because the moisture was trapped behind the paint, wrong kind of paint, and it created a nightmare to where the house was starting to shift. Got to be careful with this stuff.
I'm not gonna have any issues. So, and instead of bringing the wall all the way to the end of this next step, I pushed it back, so that's giving me a little more room for furniture. Yeah. So
better have your permits, man.
Look
at that lolly column. It looks like it's bowing. It looks like it's bowing. The condition here is going to be the problem with this house. Not necessarily the market. The condition. If you get a property priced right, legitimately priced right, and It's in pretty good condition. I've been selling them. But if you're trying to overprice it and the condition's not good, and your agent is just trying to get the listing and telling you what you want to hear, that's your problem.
Hopefully this, one thing, we'll get one.
Maybe it's not Bowen. It looked like it was Bowen. Price, condition, location, and how much inventory is on the market. You can't get around those things. Makes good stories though. Good, these people are trying to sell a $100,000 home for $500. It's crazy. A lot of them are overpriced. It's a buyer's market. This actually means it's a great time to buy. So what she was saying at the beginning, I don't always agree with, because if you're a buyer right now, you can get some deals. Okay, everybody's hurting. A lot of people are begging for offers, and people are afraid to make offers. If you're starting your bid 15, 20% under ask, and then negotiating in some things, you're probably going to do fine. And even if the market corrects, it's not going to go 20%. In my opinion, 30% would be a depression. And the world and the market and the economy has a lot of other big problems. The U.S. market is backed by the housing market. And if we get a 30% correction, all those people that will be underwater will be screaming at every politician, and they're going to print their way out. I've been saying this on every video, and I just don't see the market correcting that much. They give out too many loans for these banks to allow these properties to go upside down like that. If they did, the banks would go under because they're all holding these notes. Yeah, good thought right here is it's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. And if they're not willing to pay that price for it, it's not worth it. Until you start getting offers, paper on the table that you can negotiate with, it's not worth that price. It's only worth what somebody else is willing to pay for it.
House has more bush than my mom in the 80s. There's no garage, but let's be honest, you don't need to keep your 2011 Toyota Camry safe. Damn, this bidet is really high up. I had flaming hot Cheetos for lunch.
Stop making funny real estate videos. I get it. It's funny. People are laughing. It might be getting you followers too. But videos like that aren't going to get you any clients. This is because when sellers see you in a video like that, a funny video, they think that you're a comedian, not a professional. I know it sucks, but it's true. So
when you start seeing real estate agents making fun of other real estate agents, you know times are rough, okay? She's actually killing it. The one that's being made fun of, she's doing great. It's the old school ones that are like, hey, I can't seem to compete the old way. Let's make fun of the YouTubers and Instagrammers. If you're winning, you're winning. Everybody's got their own flair. Speaking to somebody that does it all on YouTube. It's what it is. Whatever works, works.
So help me figure out why I can't get this house sold. It's been shown many times and just no contract on it. So give you a quick look of the neighborhood it's in.
Dead sod.
It's the neighborhood, great yard. We got sod in the front. We've got landscaping. We've got
lots of brown grass.
Double car garage. We've got sprinkler systems. This is a 1479 square foot house with 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. Kind of an open concept floor plan. So you walk in.
Let me tell you something. If you buy a brand new house and they're still building the neighborhood, okay, and you think you're going to sell it in 2 years and get out of it without a loss, you need to rethink that idea. Because in 2 years, they're still building new builds in your neighborhood. You're going to be competing against a new house, usually with a 1-year warranty. Builders always give incentives. They always have, credits at closing, buy down, special financing, all these things to compete with your house that you're trying to sell on the open market. That's now 2 years old, been lived in, and a lot of closing costs. A builder is able to use their own title company, be their own lender, be their own agent, and then throw all these incentives in to keep their comps up. It's really hard to compete with them. You're looking at some of these new builds, a lot of the sod dies because when you're throwing sod on clay or on a topsoil that's not ready to accept it, it can die. And another thing you'll see is a lot of them don't come with gutters. So your yard can start washing very fast if you don't have gutters because water just peels off and it's on no grass and it just starts to wash away. And you'll see some of these new build subdivisions just start washing away. Be very careful when you see a new build not wanting to sell. I went to one the other day, came out the front door, looked up, and I could see the landfill. Got to be careful on what they're building these new subdivisions on because all they do is fill it in with dirt. It's usually a swamp, throw a house on top of it, and you're stuck with a sinkhole. Be very careful. Be very careful. Use an agent that sells in that area and not just an agent from the builder, because they're not going to help you. They're structured to help the builder. That's who they're getting paid by.
One of the worst parts of divorce that I was not prepared for was selling the house. Oh my gosh, that was hard. So not only do you have to like pick a realtor, you have to agree on them. You have to agree on the price, you have to agree on the realtor, you have to agree on like when it goes up for sale, you have to agree on who's going to clean the house, you have to agree on who's going to do the, you know, the repairs. There are so many things that you are forced to come together and make continuous decisions, even though you've already clearly stated to each other that you're done, you're over, you really don't care about the other person's opinion. There are so many things that you have to keep doing and coming together on. It's like being in a school group project with somebody that like you don't want to be in a school group project with, and you know you got to get it done in order to get a grade. But in this case, you have to get it done in order to sell the house. And for me, I was like holding out on those funds, man. Like divorce put me financially through the ringer, and like I had to get to the end of that sale. And there were times where honestly, I felt like there was gonna be a lien put on the house because I was not doing so hot. It was rough. It was so rough. The mental health, financially, all of it was just, that was a doozy with divorce.
There's nothing more stressful than a deal where there's a divorce. One, they always think each other is cheating each other, and you can be the most honest real estate agent in the deal, and you're telling everybody everything, but they will always, not always, a lot of times they'll think one's cheating the other. So it's really hard to get them to agree on anything. They always want outside. So if the husband hires the agent, then the wife doesn't trust the agent, vice versa. And they're always questioning everything. Really hard to get to, the closing table. Then when you get to the closing table and then they see the Alta, and like, let's say there's been, maintenance expenses, closing costs that run over because something was wrong with the house, something needs to be fixed. They start disputing that, or they find out that their husband or wife is carrying some type of debt or IRS lien or something, and they're getting way less than they thought they did, and they want to implode the deal. It's very stressful. If you've been in one of those situations, comment down below. I want to know your thoughts. I've done quite a lot of them. I've done a lot of probate and like where somebody passed away and the kids are trying to sell the house, or the parents trying to sell the house to the kids, and that can be very stressful. You need to find good representation, lawyer and real estate agent, because it'll make these deals a lot smoother, and one that knows what they're doing. Not a new one.
The house is only worth what someone is willing to pay for it. But key, I got an appraisal on my home, and the appraiser says that my house is worth $400,000. Listen, I am so excited that you know the value of your home, but if Joe Blow from across the street, John from across the river, and Karen from across a different state says that your house is worth $350,000, you have two options. You can keep the home for $400,000, or you can sell it to Joe Blow from across the street for $350,000. The house is worth what someone is willing to pay for it. The house is...
One of the most brutal things about talking about real estate is everybody thinks they know about real estate, but very few people know anything about real estate. And I want to say that in the most kind way ever. But when you talk about real estate every day, and then you try to tell somebody that have sold one house in their life that that's not true, people get mad at you. But you're hired to give good counsel. And if you have a property on the market for 6 months and you've had no paper offers, I mean a legitimate offer on a piece of paper or on the internet sent to you saying this is what we're willing to offer. If you don't have that, your house is not worth that. And so what happens is real estate agents will go in very timidly. They want the job. They want the money, especially if you haven't sold anything in a long time. I'm the opposite of this. I'm guilty of being too honest, but they'll go in there to collect the listing. And they know over the course of the next 6 months, they're going to be able to beat that person down to sell it at a lower price. They're not willing to say, I'm sorry, ma'am, your house is not worth that. It's going to cost time, money, and effort by the real estate agent to sell that house, and they would just be spinning their wheels for 6 months. And believe it or not, it does cost a real estate agent money to list a property. Marketing, you've got to be a member of every one of these MLSs. You've got to pay taxes, you've got to pay your broker, you got to pay even for the lockbox on the door monthly. Everything is a monthly payment, and being a real estate agent is very expensive if you are actually selling real estate. And she is exactly right. That if somebody isn't willing to offer you something for that house, it's not worth that. If you get 3 appraisals, you'll get 3 different numbers. And most of those appraisers will probably not even be from the area that they're appraising. You got to be very careful with this because it can be very brutal to debate real estate. And even if you know everything about the comps in a falling market or in a stagnant market, you're still going to be 10% under probably. And negotiations, because the market is correcting itself, and that's what it's doing right now. The seller tells me how much their house is worth. Yeah, you know she's a real estate agent, but Zillow said, let me tell you something. Zillow was created to buy your house. It's going to be under. That algorithm is wrong all the time. I don't know. It's rarely right. And especially if a house hasn't sold in your neighborhood in a long time, it's going to be wrong. So Zillow doesn't say. Basically, that $600,000 property that was worth $300,000 in 2020, good luck selling it. Well, the market has increased. Now, has it doubled? Some places it has. Here in my neighborhood it has. So somewhere in there is the right answer. And that's why a good agent gets paid what they are worth to find that number. Or you're just throwing darts at the wall and you don't know whether you undersold or oversold it. Market value does not always equal appraised value. 100%. That's what I keep saying. You get 3 different appraisers, you're going to have 3 different answers. Especially when one comes in low, under contract price, and you have to negotiate with it, and then you find out one of those comps is in another neighborhood. Sometimes it's the appraiser. True. If you renovate or upgrade, it doesn't mean you'll get that. Exactly. If you over renovate, don't think that you're going to get that out of the house. It's only going to be worth what it's going to be worth.
The reason you pulled out your house purchase, I'll go first. So Ed, our surveyor, calls us and he's like, in my 18 years of surveying, I've never seen a flat this poorly insulated. And we were like, great. And then we got into the bathroom dormer, you know, like the bit that sticks out. And he was like, I just can't see how this is past building control sign off. There was all sorts wrong with that. And the straw that broke the camel's back. Let me show you this picture. Apparently there's all sorts of structural things going with the roof, but I'm no expert. But aren't these bits meant to be touching the top? I don't know. I called my solicitor that night and I was like, get me out of this. I don't want to project. I don't want to be fixing all of these issues. But yeah, why did you guys pull out?
Tell you, I can look right now. There's not much insulation in that house. See, this is why you use a home inspector. And yes, not all home inspectors are the same. Not all real estate agents are the same. Not all lawyers are the same. But if you feel very uncomfortable, get 2 home inspections, you know? Or just pay for a walk around. Get a home inspection, then pay another home inspector $100. Just walk around and give him his opinion without even writing any documents. You can do lots of things, especially termites. But your inspection period is one of the most important things you'll do in real estate, because real estate is about mitigation. Is about risk mitigation. You're getting these inspections along the way to say, I checked this block, I checked this block, I checked this block. And hopefully your real estate agent is good enough to spot stuff too. You should be looking for seller's disclosures here in the States. I know that's probably in England, but here in the States, you have a seller's disclosure. A lot of MLSs don't require one. And they'll say, oh, well, you know, we don't have one or we don't know. Red flag. If you've reduced that house to studs and brought it back up, you know everything about that house. Don't tell me you don't know if there wasn't permits or something structural or electrical fixing or any of that. You always need to look for seller's disclosures, especially flood disclosures. Here in the state of Florida now, we have a flood disclosure. And it says, has the house ever been flooded? And if they check no, and you look out there and the water is staring you in the face, and we had a hurricane a year ago, somebody's lying. Most likely. Just my opinion.
This is day 107 of us trying to sell our home here in Florida, and it is not selling. I know everyone keeps telling me in the comments that it is our price, and I'm telling you guys it is not our price.
Well, if it's not condition and how many houses are on the market in your neighborhood, then it probably is the price. Just saying. If it's been that long, you need to reduce the price. It's not worth it.
We've dropped our price 3 times now. We are lower than everything else on the market.
So the market's still going down.
If you guys have any suggestions what else to try, I mean, it's a bigger house, so maybe there's just not families our size that have this. So we're a family of 6, so it's a big house. Yeah, I don't know, maybe there's not people our size, maybe there's people sort of in our price bracket who are trying to move to our area.
Solar panels, HOAs, if it's a condo, assessments, neighborhood assessments, bad HOA president, local market. Luxury is different than lower, you know, that middle, lower tier. I mean, for a while, you know, for us here in Pensacola, $800,000 is a pretty luxurious house before you get to the super luxury. You know, $1 million will buy you a lot around here. But that $600,000, $800,000 bracket was like hard to move for a while. You got to find somebody that can afford an $800,000 house, and does your local economy have those type of jobs laying around? And it seems like the bank loves to build those higher end houses because they like those notes better. They don't want to build housing that is affordable because the notes, you don't make a lot on a $200,000 note. You make a lot on an $800,000, a $900,000, $1 million, a $2 million note. There's a lot of factors on a lot of these things, and some people don't want HOAs. Some people don't want solar panels. Is there a loan on the solar panels? Those things bring down your buyer pool a lot more. There's always factors.
We're gonna try to get like a professional photographer to come in and kind of stage the house, get the drone, get the 3D imaging, all that stuff, to see if presentation will just get more eyeballs, and then more eyeballs will be more showings. More showings will hopefully eventually equal a sale. But man, if you guys have any recommendations, put them down in the comments, man. I'm all ears. This is day 110 of trying to sell our house, and it's not the price, but I've seen a lot of other people comment that nobody wants to live in Florida, which also isn't the case. I mean, we're technically the fastest growing state in America. Now, you might disagree with things that Florida does, but it doesn't change the fact that
a lot of people are coming to Florida. It's not Florida. There are environmental hazards everywhere in the country. California, you burn up, okay? The Midwest, tornadoes. You got mudslides everywhere. You got all kinds of random stuff. Florida is a lot. They make up for it with a lot of things. No income tax. Hopefully one day we'll have no property tax. There's a lot of ways that people want to live in Florida. Some people just don't like the politics up north. Some people don't like the politics in Florida. There will always be those things, but it's a straw man to say that my house isn't selling Florida. You know, there's a lot of things at these local areas that causes things not to sell. Like I said before, you've got HOA problems, you got flood problems, you got building problems, it's a new build, it's not a new build, it's got solar panels, it's got some weird yard, it's got something. Not always it's the state. Sometimes it's the state. A lot of people right now that are investors don't want to buy anything in California because it's so hard to own property in California. There's so many rules and regulations, and it's getting that way everywhere. The county, the municipality, the government is in everybody's business owning property, and you wind up really trying to, figuring out, when you read the land use code, you don't actually own the real estate, you just pay taxes for it. You rent it from the government. And I'm saying that as a real estate agent. We've got to get some of this bureaucracy out of a lot of these real estate ownership. I mean, the HOA owns it more than you own it. They tell you what you can and can't do.
If you're a home seller in Florida, I feel so bad for you. Data was just released that showed the top 10 buyer markets in the US, and topping the list is Miami, Florida. In fact, 6 out of the top 10 cities are in Florida. When they say a top buyer's market, what they really mean is there's no demand to buy houses there, and there's way too many people trying to sell. So if you're one of the few people trying to buy, you have all the leverage. Now, with the rising insurance costs, it seems like Florida may not be the retirement paradise it once was.
Yeah, but there's not really another one, okay? The insurance has been awful in Florida. I feel like we're running the curve on that. And it's hard to mix housing numbers in with the condo numbers because the condo numbers in South Florida are a mess. The assessments have just jettisoned, is that a word? Jettisoned any idea of owning some of those, because when the government put those assessments for studies, for engineering studies, structural studies, all these things, these assessments, it created a lot of chaos. And it made some of those properties, you can't own them. And then the bank started questioning them because they're a concrete building that has a term life, and some of these notes are 30 years. And they're saying, you know what, cash only, because we've got so many assessments coming. I want to know your thoughts. Comments down below. I'm just spewing stuff here.
So this is day 101 of our house being on the market. It's been frustrating, to say the least. During the first month, we did get an offer, but it was over $100,000 below our asking price, and we kind of scoffed at it and turned them down, thinking we would wait because it was only, the first month. So now here we are, day 101, and we have not had any offers since then. So we're kind of second guessing ourselves if we should have accepted that first offer, because we have already packed up most of our home, so that we can move before our kids start. We have one starting junior high and one starting high school, so we kind of wanted to make the transition. But feels like it's a little bit too late since school just started. So, yeah, trying to figure out what to do. And
a lot of times when you look on the MLS, you'll see them start a house at a certain price. And then it'll sit there. And then when you see it like 2 to 3 months, that listing agreement for the agent's about 6 months. And he knows he's going to lose it probably at the 6-month mark. So you'll start seeing them start to drop that house price at that 3-month mark, 2-month mark. If they don't have any offers on the table, you'll see them start doing it, you know, a staged drawdown until finally they hit an offer. Okay. And this is where, if you're savvy, you can use some of this against them, okay? And you're just going to put your offer out there. If it was me, I would make an offer and say, let me know if you decide to change your mind. And then you see them start walking that price down, and you're like, you touch base with them again. And it's in their head. When they're in a situation where they got to leave, they got kids going somewhere else, they're military, they're this, they're that, and that's in their ear. This is how wholesalers, real estate investors get these type of deals. Is they know the agent and the seller are being stubborn. They're leaving the price up to where it shouldn't be in the first place. Because we all have software now to tell about where our property should be. And if you're this far in 100 days, that price shouldn't be there. So when they're walking it down to where they finally get an offer, that's probably where the property is going to be, you know? Until you get 2 offers, 3 offers. Okay, now you're getting some showings. You're getting 5 showings in a week, 3 showings in a week. Okay, you're finally finding the market. You're trying to find the market. But as the market ran up so fast, it was like chasing a running deer. A lot of these people were just guessing where the market was. And now that we have a slower market, the price is right sizing itself. If they would hold interest rates where they are for another 6 months, it would do a lot for the real estate market and affordability. But instead, they're going to reduce rates again. And when we get back down to where we were, the market's going to take off again. Because they have to print money to sustain this economy, because the economy is crap. That's why the stock market keeps going up. They keep printing money. And now we're going back to quantitative easing. And we get lower interest rates. Like if they lower this month and next month, the market might pick back up again. But when you've been here 100 days, you need to have a conversation with the seller, and you have a conversation with the agent. You need to right size that price and get it moved, because you're paying holding costs on this, whether you like it or not. And then Murphy's Law. Something's going to happen.
House is priced to sell. Yeah, well, it's been on the market for 2 months. So how about you take that off your listing? If you're unaware, real estate agents have access to something called a private remarks section on all listings. And sometimes listing agents like to put in, this house is priced aggressively to sell within the first weekend, bring offers. And then the home sits on the market for 30, 60, 90 days, and they forget to remove that from the listing. I have now shown 3 properties in the span of 2 days that had this in their private remarks section. And lo and behold, the house has been on the market for 2 months, and they previously tried to sell it 90 days ago for an even higher price. And people are just not understanding that we are in a market that has changed. Sure,
Yes, you can even see on the MLS where they've canceled it and then put it back on and then temporarily withdrew it. And you can see the game they're playing, the price going down. And you have the remark section. And a lot of agents will put stuff in there, forget about it. Vomit of the mouth is another one that gets people. If you have an agent with loose lips and doesn't know how to play poker, that agent is going to give too much information out there and wind up hurting you in the sell. Because everything you say in a real estate transaction will be held against you if the other agent is worth their salt. Just saying, get what you pay for. I have seen real estate sellers agents run their mouth on the phone, especially when they're trying to get the property sold, and they wind up hurting the client. Be very careful.
One of my houses is right there on the end. I've had that for over a year, about a year and a half. All of these houses, brand new builds, available, all 10 of them, for sale, just sitting here, year and a half. 10, like these are $1 million homes. Maybe that's a problem. 10.
Not if they ain't selling, that's for sure. But on this next guy, when you are stuck in these deals and your client or you as a seller need to sell this thing, okay, you're in a hurt, and you're at the point where you're desperate, especially if you've got 2 mortgages going or there's a death in the family or something, you meet this guy. Okay, this guy right here. This is what you call a wholesaler, the shark of real estate. And they are fast talking. And if your agent has never encountered one of these people, you're going to be in trouble because they're probably going to out-talk your agent.
Could I briefly tell you about my favorite side hustle? Just like really quick, please. House hunting. Hunting for houses on Zillow on behalf of real estate investors in exchange for, wait for it, $20,000 checks. There are only 3 types of offers I make. Here are the 3 types of offers I make, real life examples of them, and how much we got paid for them. Deal number 1, cash deals. This is so easy to wrap your head around. You're quite literally finding a house that's for sale at 80, get that thing for 50, you're going to make $10,000.
When you hear cash in real estate, be very careful. A lot of times, they're not going to give you the cash. Their cash buyer is going to give you the cash. They're going to take the contract you just signed and sell it to a cash buyer and get the split. That's the money he's talking about. That's wholesaling 101. These guys have no rules. They're not like a licensed real estate agent that is a fiduciary. If you want to tangle with the guy with the pearl necklace, you're probably going to get burned because you have nobody to protect you. Be careful. Keep watching.
Example for today, I put myself at so much risk to show you guys these addresses. You know, no other wholesaler does this, right? 708 East Crenshaw Street, Tampa, Florida. I'm hoping the buyer for this deal doesn't see this because, like, dog, why are you buying this deal? It's not really a deal. It really isn't a deal. This guy, you know, sometimes you get a wholesale deal and you're like, this isn't going to sell, and it sells, and you're like, okay, so this thing is already renovated. It doesn't cash flow. It's been on Zillow for 70 days. The student who locked this up definitely didn't take the courses. He offered $314. It's listed for $350, dog. What kind of discount is that? And then we sell it for another 20 grand, 19K to be specific. We sell it for $335 and it's listed for $350. Why is bro buying this? I told you, my buyers are powerful as hell. That's another one of these bad boys. Next deal type you need to know about going into 2026 is seller financing. We seller finance multifamily that doesn't cash flow. Imagine a property that is only for...
If you're a real estate agent out there and you hear owner finance, walk away. Okay, just walk away. And if it doesn't ding in your head what's going on the script, when you hear seller finance, you need to go do some research. And if you're a seller and your agent said, I've got an owner finance deal and it's for just a normal single family house, he's out of his league. Okay? Because the number one scam right now is owner finance. In real estate, everybody wants an owner finance deal. It means they got no money down on it. They don't have to deal with a bank. They don't have to deal with there are reasons when you would do it. So say you have a humongous gain, you're wanting to retire and you don't want to pay the capital gain. And that's what they'll use against you. Okay? But odds of bankruptcy happening or some type of legal dispute or something wrong with your note or whatever is going to happen way more than it's going to work out in most situations. Unless your real estate agent and your real estate attorney is very savvy in owner finance deals, when you hear a smooth talking slick Rick dude show up, you better be careful. Better be careful. I saw a $2 million deal about 6 months ago. Same situation. Attorney from another state. And he was wanting to buy a $2 million property. He was going to do, cash down, ... and wait till he files for bankruptcy. Be careful, okay? I'm not a lawyer. I've seen a lot of deals go bad, and I've owner financed a lot of properties. And I know this hustle, and I know a scam when I see it.
Your monthly payments on the mortgage of that property are above what it rents out for. So it's only for an investor, but it's a bad investment, so it doesn't sell. Okay, well, you can do this thing where you offer payments, and the idea is like the payments are better than what the bank would have you make payments at. Bank wants 20% down at 7% interest. Yeah, so if you beat those, you got yourself a deal most of the time. Once again, putting myself at risk by leaking the actual address of my wholesale deal. Under contract and assigned to an end buyer for $12,000. Stupid terms. This is also not that great of a deal. Dog, this thing is listed at $685 and has been there for 153 days, which it's not worth $685 then. The student offered $795, $55K down, and $2,100 a month in payments, and it rents for $35. Somebody pick this thing up. Somebody pick this up for more than this right here. For more than this, for 12 grand. That's going to close in a week, and I'm telling you, dude, my buyer's list is insane. And then the last type of deal that you need to be aware of is mortgage takeover. Taking over debts from the past when interest rates were good. Grand. That's going to close in a week, and I'm telling you, dude, my buyer's list is insane. And then the last type of deal that you need to be aware of is mortgage takeover, taking over debts from the past when interest rates were good. Bro is going to lose money on a sale, leaking the address again. We gave him $12,000 down. When I say we, I mean a person who was watching on TikTok and decided to join Hold My Hand Wholesale. This is also not that good of a deal. 4% interest, $12K down, but we sold it for 13 grand, baby.
So, subject 2, I think, is one Justice Department investigation away from it going bad for a lot of people. I've never been a fan of subject 2. It's one of these things the internet guys on TikTok are trying to push. They're selling courses is what they're doing. But if you think you're going to transfer title and then you're going to be, note exchanging, until the bank calls it due. They're going to figure out all this subject to very soon, and it's called mortgage fraud. And they're going to come after everybody. It's going to happen. Don't do these subject to deals, okay? People are going to hate on me and say, you don't know real estate. I know how the law works, okay? And I know how big dogs work, and I know how bankers work. And if you think they're going to let notes run out from underneath them, one day they're going to have an AI that can track down all these notes, and you're going to get a letter in the mail that says refinance now, okay? Or your loan has been sped up. Come forth with the full amount today. And these cats with hundreds of these is going to be in trouble. I'm just saying it. I want to know your thoughts down below. Now, this guy is just a wholesaler. He's a slick guy. And I'm not saying that anything against this guy. But when you don't have a fiduciary that is smart as this guy protecting you and you're just a novice, don't flirt in this world. Okay? Have somebody that can protect you. Because in some states, this is illegal. Wholesaling in some states is illegal. Wholesaling in my state is not illegal. And they don't have to have a license to do it. And you might be saying, well, what about their earnest money? They'll structure these contracts where there is no earnest money. So when he bounces out of the deal at day 29, 39, 49, oh well, And here's another thing they'll do. And I'm running over on this video. But they will record the contract at the clerk of the court. And then you will not get title insurance at transfer until that contract has been cleared up. Not a lawyer, but that will take a quiet title action to clear up. If he was smart enough to record that contract at the clerk of the court. Just saying, I encountered it a couple of years ago. Speaking from experience.
There are a bunch of houses sitting on the market right now, and sellers are super angry. I'm seeing a lot of TikTok videos where people are complaining really bad that their home isn't selling. But I'm also seeing it in MLS. Like, they're firing their agent after like 60 days or like 90 days. When in fact, if the agent had done their job and set the expectation up front, most of the comps that have sold and closed
100%.
Were on the market for over 100 days.
100%.
This is reality. Do you want to get fired? Stop telling sellers what they want to hear. Tell them what they need to know. Show them how long it took the last home to sell, or how long other homes that are active on the market are still for sale. Like, look at the days on market, you guys. This is so big. So I'm also going to tell you something crazy. A lot of these sellers got spoiled during COVID, okay? Spoiled. You cannot buy a home in 2022 or 2023 and turn around and expect to sell it for 100, 150,000 over asking or whatever. That's cuckoo town. Our market, or pretty much any market in the US, hasn't gone up that much. So a lot of sellers are like fooling themselves, and I'm not exactly sure what the agent was thinking when they listed the property.
This is what I was talking about. Overlist, just wanting the listing and then thinking that it might sell. This is a good way to waste your money, as in holding costs, and the agent's money, as in their time, effort, and logistics spent trying to sell this. A broker should tell their client, a broker should tell their agent, we're into selling listings, not taking them. And this is something where a savvy agent would be like, sir, I think we need to be here. And I want to tell you right up front, just so you don't blame me later. But they most likely will blame you later. Just saying.
I was always told, and I've been in this business for 26 years, I was always told that you need to live in a home at least 5 years to make a profit or break even. Like, that was when like inflation and the home prices like went up steadily, like a little bit per year. Sellers also spend like the first 2 years just paying interest on their loan. So the right thing to do is set the expectation with the seller up front. Like, hey, you bought just a couple years ago. Most of the time sellers don't make any money if they sell before 5 years. And also, if you put a ton of money in your home, you might not get it all back, because those maintenance items or small improvements aren't going to get the biggest bang for your buck, not unless it was like a total overhaul of the property.
Closing costs, agent costs, and taxes is another thing a lot of people don't catch until the back end. And if you're renting it, if it was a rental, recapture on your depreciation. Fact.
I've seen some really angry sellers on here saying, well, I replaced the roof and I replaced the water heater and I replaced the HVAC. It was tens of thousands of dollars. Well, guess what? That's maintenance. It doesn't make your house worth more. Not unless you stole it when you bought it. Now, I'm sure someone's going to come on here and argue with me, but the facts are the facts. I've been doing this a very long time and nothing's changed really. A lot of these sellers or agents have amnesia, or maybe your agent just started in the last couple years and they just don't understand absorption rate.
Or they've been in the game a long time and hasn't sold many houses. That's another one. The amount of time I've been doing this 30 years and you look them up and they sold 5 houses is astonishing.
If there are 20 active listings on the market and only 10 of them had gone under contract the last 6 months, you have an entire year's worth of inventory. So firing your agent after 60 days doesn't even make any sense. There are a bunch of houses sitting on
Right here, a lot of houses, a lot of sellers aren't really interested in leaving 3% to jump to 6%. That's true. I'm one to lower my price, but I don't really care if it sells either, but I have already dropped my price $10K after 2 weeks. The thing about this is a lot of people do have to move around and houses will sell. So to say this is a circumstance is one thing, but to say for the whole market isn't quite, because some people still have to move around and they will, you know, offer up some of these loans, the idea of the portable mortgage, to try to get some of these people to jump on their purchase price. But that doesn't mean overlist because you have a low interest rate. You know what I mean? Some are just overpriced and haven't been updated in 30 years. That's true too. Some of them are, you know, an issue. And in some areas, being able to upgrade them is an issue. Old neighborhoods, I'm dealing that with my neighborhood. The infrastructure just isn't there to have certain things. So you got to look at a lot of different things on these properties and say, what is the true issue? And it reminds me of this one right here. See this person backing down? And it's a cliff. So it's like, no matter what the house is and the neighborhood, if you can't get down the driveway, house ain't selling. You know what I mean? House isn't selling.
Your neighbor has 35 cats and you're trying to sell your house. But every time someone comes to your house, they look over the fence and they're like, why are there 35 cats over here? And they don't like cats. This is a hard thing as a home seller. My name's Liz and I'm your real estate agent in Charlottesville and Richmond, Virginia with EXP. And oftentimes your neighbors are going to have an effect on the sale of your house, whether you like it or not.
But you want to know what else is? The most delusional people on earth right now are currently trying to sell their homes on Zillow in 2025. Their houses have been on the market for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. They continuously take it off and they put it back on. Wondering why no one's buying it? Well, let me tell you why. They're trying to sell the house for 3 times as much as they got it. They've made 0 updates. They painted the ugliest accent wall you've ever seen in your entire life. But somehow, some way, it still makes the house look even more dingier. There's no parking in the area. The area is the same and it's not even developed. And on top of all that, they're in these realtors' comment sections wondering why they're listing.
All right, that's all I got. I probably ran on way too long on this video, but there's a lot of thoughts that come to my mind when I'm drinking a cup of coffee. I want to know your thoughts down below. What do you think the market's going to do? Are people overlisting? What would be a reason for you to buy or not buy? We can all learn from each other in the comment section. But if you happen to be looking for real estate on the Gulf Coast of Florida, Alabama, my email is down below. I'd be happy to help you. And if you need an agent anywhere in the country, I could help you find one. Just email me down below. There's so much to do with real estate. It's a very complex topic and it's really hard to just jump into. There's so many variables. And that's why, you know, real estate agents have been around so long. You got the deal to negotiate. You got the property itself. You got maintenance issues. You got logistical problems. You've got, can you make this happen? Hey, I need to close this on a Wednesday. Can we do it digitally? Can we get this thing done? How do I send the funds? What do I do? I've never done this before. And please help me not get scammed. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. On to the next one.